The search for Michael Vaughn continues. Michael went missing from his neighborhood in Fruitland in July of 2021. He was just 5 years old at the time. Law enforcement has spent the last year and a half investigating. But the Fruitland police chief says a credible tip led investigators to a home near Michael's neighborhood this weekend.
Crews are back out in Fruitland today searching for Michael Vaughn. Police believe his remains are in the backyard of a Fruitland home, and today is the 6th day crews are excavating the yard. Crews could be at the house on Red Wing Street for another week. This house is just 4 minutes from the Vaughn's home.
As you know, from the time Michael went missing, this has been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, and it remains very active and an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughn could be found in the backyard at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland. As a result, the Fruitland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Stacey Wondra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Fruitland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Fruitland Fire Department, and the Fruitland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wondras' home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughn were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wondras' residence. The search was productive, and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed.
Evidence suggests that the following individuals who are currently in custody are involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughn. Stacey Wondra, 35 years old. Sarah lives at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Sarah has firsthand knowledge and is involved in Michael's abduction. Stacey Wondra is currently being held at the Payette County Jail for failing to report a death to law enforcement. And Stacey Wondra, 30 years old, a male. Stacey was also living at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland and was living there at the time of Michael's disappearance. We believe that Stacey has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughn. Brandon Shirtliff, 30 years old, of Kuna, Idaho. Brandon was living with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance, and we believe Brandon has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction. Adrian Lucien, 32-year-old male out of Toledo, Ohio. Adrian was staying with Sarah and Stacey Wondra at 1102 Red Wing Street at the time of Michael's disappearance, and we believe that Adrian has firsthand knowledge of Michael's abduction.
everybody. Oh my gosh, I have missed everybody so much. I think I got used to going live all the time for real. Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. My grandbabies are on spring break. I am having a good time so far, but Grandma took a break today. So how is everybody doing? Thank you, mods, for coming in. I appreciate you guys so much. Good to see you, Callie, Halo Art, Avi. So good to see you. Julia is here. Ashley is here. Thank you guys so much for coming. Hair Curlers in Crime. Oh my gosh, I love the name. Best name on the YouTube stream. Hot Mess. Good to see you. Jazzy Jewel is here. Slim Hauser. Thank you guys. Thank you guys all so much for coming in. Oh my goodness. It has been a long week already. Went with my, well, three of my grandchildren live up north, like 4 hours away from me, and the other three are here in town. So I went with my 10-year-old granddaughter, my 2-year-old granddaughter, and my 4-year-old grandson. And we went to the Bonneville Dam. And they have like the fish ladder and stuff. It's up in the Columbia River Gorge, right off of the scenic route. It's just so beautiful up there. We got up there. There were no fish on the ladder, but we got to show them all the different generators and all the really cool things that happen at the dam. And then we crossed over the Bridge of the Gods and went over to the Bonneville hatchery that is over in Oregon, and they had such a good time. The hatchery has like trout and salmon, and they had their own huge display of sturgeon. My grandkids just freaked out looking at the sturgeons. First they thought they were sharks, and my youngest granddaughter, she's only 2, and all she kept saying the entire time we're there, she said, "That's a big one. That's a big one. A big one, Grandma. A big one." She was so amazed to see these giant sturgeon. Oh my gosh. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. And Harrison, my grandson, he was feeding the fish with these little bites that you can get. And as he's feeding the salmon, one of the ducks hops up out of this pond onto the brick where he was, straight up in his face, wanting these like little bites out of his hand. It didn't freak him out, man. He just started laughing so hard. Oh my gosh. And then I got to buy each one of them like a little bag of crystals before we left. And then we went down this historical drive to see a bunch of waterfalls on the way home. It was a day. And then my oldest granddaughter came and stayed the night with me. We are enjoying their spring break. So that's what I've been up to. Just grandbabies, and that is my happiness. My family, my kids, my grandbabies, that's life for me. I just had so much fun. I've never even been to the Bonneville fish hatchery before. I guess the kids did when they were in school for their field trips and stuff. But I thought they went to the Bonneville Dam, not the fish hatchery. So I got confused when they were like, "Yeah, Mom, this is where we went." I was like, "What? When I signed that, this is where you guys came? I thought you guys went to the dam." But the look on their face, too, to see all the water coming up over the dam, that was so cool to see. And then we had a picnic. And we got rained on while we were picnicking, and we got rained on while we were walking around the hatchery because it's outside, but we all had our raincoats and stuff on. We just had a good time. I don't mind the rain. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's always raining. You never know. Jen, great to see you. McSporin, I think is how you say your name. Great to see you. It was a blast, Jazzy. It really was. Like, if my grandbabies are laughing and having a good time, I'm having a good time. And I am like a little kid. I might be 53 years old, but I am like a little kid. And I am going to be cracking up, laughing, looking at stuff. One of the sturgeons that we saw were almost like 20 or so feet long. It was as big, long as the window. I wanted to kind of put up a little video and show you guys what we did, but I don't put my grandbabies up on YouTube. So, but it was really fun. Really, really fun. Oh my goodness. So we're finishing up the shit show. This is part 11, but we are finishing up the one that Brandi confronted Stacey Wondra. And then after that, I can ask you guys in chat what else you guys want to go over. Sarah, suspicious. Hello. I love your name. I love saying it. Sarah, suspicious. Love it. Love it. It sounds suspicious. So, yeah, we can just talk about what else we want to go over. I know everybody's like told me things that they do want to go over. We definitely want to go over the Carson. And if we have time, we might actually do that one today. Because I don't know how much is left. There's not very much left of this video, so we might be able to do 2 in 1, because I think the Carson video is only like 15 minutes. So it's going to depend on how much or how long it takes us to get through the rest. I did get sent a clip, though, by somebody. And it was from one of the very first analyzing that we did on Brooks's channel, Crime Lines and Lies. And they caught a slip, a very good slip from Stacey. And he is talking about Sarah feeling guilty. So I want to play this for you guys. I've had it for a while, but I have just forgot to play it. So I downloaded it today. Oh, you're not feeling well? I'm sorry, hun. If you need to go, you know, I know everybody has a life. And if you can't be here, hun, and you're just not feeling well, that's fine. You just want to sit back and listen to, that's fine. No worries here. I really hope you feel better. Prayers for you, honey. Oh, I hate not feeling good. Hot Mess has never seen the Carson video. I think I've seen it in its entirety, but I've never, I mean, I've listened to it, but not, I don't know if pay attention is the word for it. I don't know that I heard too much out of it. And with everybody, it's just like, who's lying? Who's telling the truth? I really feel like Carson was very truthful. Like when I heard him speaking over the phone with me and Brooks, he sounds to be like a very truthful man, honest man. And I know he worked with law enforcement right away. He was like, go ahead, search my yard. Oh my God, Brandi Lee, thank you so much for coming in and giving a super sticker. You know how we do here. We got a party when we get a super sticker. Everybody ready if you got your headphones in, because we got a super member today. Well, a super chat today. Thank you so much, Brandi, for that. I appreciate you so much, hon. Okay, so let's hear this video. It's funny because it comes up a different color on my phone than it does here, so I thought something else happened. Oh, thank you so much. You know, that's all we want is answers, right? Just looking and searching for them. So this is the clip that I want to throw up real quick. Oh, wait, though. We need to put up Michael first. Michael Joseph Vaughn. He was 5 years old when he was abducted from his neighborhood in Fruitland, Idaho, literally around the corner from his house when he wandered off to find some friends to play with. Daddy was in the house, changing a diaper, ordering some pizza. The next thing you know, Michael wanders away. They believe he made it out the garage door, like went out in the backyard and then went through the garage and out the door there at the garage and started wandering around. One neighbor had spoke to him and just told him, you know, you need to go home. And then I believe other neighbors had seen him on 9th Street, you know, wandering around by himself, just looking for friends to play with was all he was doing. And it just so happened that during that time, there were some monsters that lived in the neighborhood who decided they wanted to abduct a child that day. And the suspects in Michael's abduction are Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrian Lucien, and Brandon Shirtliff. They are the named suspects. Even updated January 10th of 2025, they are the suspects in Michael Vaughn's case, Michael Vaughn's abduction. And Michael deserves justice. His family deserves peace. Brandi was on vacation this last week. She is headed home. And she's got business to take care of once she gets home. Let's just hope and pray that the business she is taking care of is good news, good business. I'm not going to talk about it any further than that. But we already know that the DA has spoken with Brandi and Tyler, told them charges have been written up. They both saw the charges that were written up. Indictments will be coming out on all 4 suspects. It's just a matter of time. They are taking their sweet time, though, getting everything ready to put out these indictments, aren't they? I know everybody is so ready for it to happen. A few of us, like myself, are a little bit impatient, just going like, what the heck is going on? What is, you know, what's taking so long? But we can only do this once. They can only put out these indictments once. They can only try these people one time. It has to be done right. If it's not done right, then you've got 4 people out on the streets, back out on the streets. We know from the last live that Stacey Wondra is going to be serving time yet again in federal prison for 1 year and 1 day. And Sarah is still locked up. She doesn't get out till 2026. Stacey probably won't get out till November, December at the end of this year. So the only 2 people roaming the streets right now are Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, and law enforcement knows exactly where they are. Exactly. Brandon may not think, and Adrian may not think, that law enforcement does not know where they are. That is just not true. They know exactly where they are. Even though they keep wanting to move around, law enforcement is still watching, tracking. They know exactly where they are. No worries about that. And what we need is more tips, because Michael was murdered and buried in the Wondras' backyard, and then he was moved to an unknown location by one of these 4 suspects. And if anybody has any information about where Michael Vaughn is or the abduction of Michael Vaughn, we need you to come forward and help this family grieve the way they were supposed to. The Fruitland Police Department's tip line is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. You can be Michael's hero. You can be this family's hero. It is time, you know, for one of the suspects, if they find it in their hearts, to come forward and tell the family, tell law enforcement where Michael is. And, you know, if you know something Get rid of what you know. Get it off your shoulders. Get it out of your heart and know that you did the right thing by calling the tip line at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. You can remain anonymous. You can go into the police department with a friend if you're too scared to do it on your own. You can collect over $52,000 if you can help find Michael. He is still missing. We do not know where he is. And one of these suspects knows. Either Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrian Lucian, or Brandon Shirtliff knows exactly where Michael Vaughn is. And one of them needs to start talking. It really is time to let this family grieve and let them find some peace and move on. And most of all, it's time for justice. We're all ready to see what happens when indictment comes out, when court happens. Are they all going to have separate trials? Will they all be tried together? What is going to happen? We don't know, but we're sitting here and we're waiting for it, and we're never going away. We are Monkey's Army, and Monkey's Army will never stop. We stand with the Vaughn family. We stand with Michael's parents, who have never, ever been the suspects in their son's abduction. They work hard with law enforcement. Law enforcement and the Vaughn family love each other, are there for each other. They communicate with each other. The family has done nothing but do everything they can to find Michael. And it's been that way from day one. They have never stopped. So, if you have any information, please call the Fruitland Police tip line at 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. I just can't wait. I just can't wait. And I know some of you are just like me, like just cannot wait for something to go down and something to happen. Things are moving in Michael's case right now. And, I know so many people just can't wait to hear all about it. And I can't wait to share some of what I know. Yeah. It is never going away. This is never going to go away. We are never going to stop fighting for justice, and we're never going to stop fighting for the Vaughn family and helping them get the peace that they deserve. We're just never going to stop. I know, I can't wait either. Opal, good to see you, hun. So glad to have you here. Such a beautiful soul. If nobody told you today, you matter. And you matter to us also, Opal. Thank you so much. We love hearing your kind, sweet words. I absolutely love reading it. Laughter heals all wounds, and that's one thing that everybody shares. No matter what you're going through, it makes you forget about your problems. I think the world should keep laughing. Thank you so much. I was definitely laughing this week, Opal. Definitely laughing with my grandbabies. Yes, justice is coming. Thank you guys so much for always coming here, being a part of, Monkey's Army, being here to support the Vaughn family. I know that they love the support and they love seeing people show up. I'm not going to stop doing lives on Michael anytime soon. Not going to happen. Okay. Yes, they are sweet music, aren't they? My grandbabies, they're my world. I wanted to believe that all of them, Brandon, would tell what happened and where Michael is now. Hey, Purple. Thank you for coming by, hon. Good to see you. Yeah, I still hope and pray every single day that, you know, one of them has a heart and shows up for Michael, becomes his hero and the family's hero, does the right thing. But, you know, unfortunately, they are all just not willing to do it. And then they get so close to doing it, like Stacey, he really thought he was doing it. And then Michael wasn't in the Wandra's yard. I mean, that is just mind blowing. And how disheartening to know that if that tip would have been given sooner, the family could have had their peace and have mourned Michael the way that they should have been able to. It's really sad. And nobody knows how much sooner either, like when was Michael moved. It's very difficult to even fathom. It's so difficult to think of. Okay, so here is a clip that I was sent, and just listening to these words, because Stacey Wondra's words here are just really strange. They went to Texas. There was a crash that ended up happening on the freeway. They had a detour. It is confirmed that there was a crash. There was a fatal crash, actually, and that's why the detour happened. They go down this detour. They get stuck in the mud, and this is part of that conversation, just to catch you guys up.
So freaked out about getting stuck in the mud?
I don't know.
So Brooks asked him, some people in chat want to know why Sarah got so freaked out when you guys were stuck in the mud. And he says, I don't know. But then he goes on to say something even more suspicious.
Talking about Sarah being freaked out that they were stuck in the mud down in Texas when they took their trip in October of 2021.
It could have had something to do with a guilty conscience. I have no idea.
Guilty conscience? Might have something to do with a guilty conscience? This is a huge one that I completely missed when we did our live going over Brooks's interviews with Stacey Wondra. Guilty conscience? Guilty conscience over what? And because you're stuck in the mud? You were stuck in the mud. What kind of guilty conscience do you have? And although it's very hard to speak about, the only thing I can think of is like her freaking out. They're stuck in the mud. Stacey Wondra said that Sarah Wondra dug a hole in their backyard. Did something have to do with like this dirt that's freaking her out? Did they both physically have to get out of the car and like try to move the mud? And did that freak her out for some reason? I don't know. I'm just completely speculating here. But what kind of guilty conscience? And did she have like some kind of post-traumatic stress or something? I can't remember what else he says after this.
There was no reason to be freaked out. We were literally just stuck. I don't know. She's never not been stuck before in her life, but
Yeah, he is. He is at a shelter in this one.
you know, it was just a stuck situation. I don't know why she would be so freaked out. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
I'll let you guys hear it again.
Talking about Sarah being freaked out that they were stuck in the mud down in Texas when they took their trip in October of 2021.
It could have had something to do with a guilty conscience. I have no idea. There was no reason to be freaked out. We were literally just stuck. I don't No, she's never not been stuck before in her life, but
Yeah,
No, she hasn't been stuck before in her life. That just, what he says just doesn't even make sense. And then he says, yeah, that doesn't make sense about Sarah. No, it doesn't make sense that she would have a guilty conscience. And you're the one who said she might have had a guilty conscience. But why would Sarah have a guilty conscience freaking out over being stuck in the mud? Make it make sense. The only thing I could think of is that if, there being mud's dirt. And then I just kind of thought about if it was true that she buried Michael, maybe that had something to do with something. Maybe that's why she freaked out. But hell, maybe she just had a panic attack or something and freaked out because they're stuck in the mud, down in Texas in a vehicle, and she's freaking out because she doesn't know like how they're going to get saved from there. Capital Productions, good to see you, hon. Thank you for coming in. It is just really, really strange. I appreciate people sending me clips and sending me things so much. If we don't catch it, my email, let me throw that up here real quick. You can always email me if we miss something. And don't forget, hit that like button on the way in, on the way out. It really helps, get Michael out there on the YouTube streets, gets people watching and listening. The guilty conscience comment is odd. It is. It is so odd, Kelly. It's just, and then the way he continues to, I want to just play it one more time. And then it's just really odd how he talks about, Amanda, thanks for coming in. It's just really strange how he goes on to describe it even further. Like she's never been stuck before. What does that mean? She's never been stuck before in life. What does that mean? Maybe just never gotten stuck ever before? Did she feel stuck because she was in Texas? Like, what the hell here? One more time and then we're done, and we're going to move on to watching and going through the rest of the live with Brandi and Stacey.
I don't know.
talking about Sarah being freaked out that they were stuck in the mud down in Texas when they took their trip in October of 2021.
Could have had something to do with a guilty conscience. I have no idea. There was no reason to be freaked out. We were literally just stuck. I don't know. She's never not been stuck before in her life, but
Yeah, he is.
Don't know if she's never not been stuck before in her life. It's just
He
weird.
is at a shelter in this one.
Yeah, this is when he was staying at the shelter and he was sitting outside in the cold. Why would someone lie about what happened to a little kid? I don't know.
you know, it was just a stuck situation.
And then even weirder, right? It was just a stuck situation. Is that not weird to say? It just sounds so weird to me. Of course it was a stuck situation. They were stuck. Like, what? It's just so odd. Ruby Slippers, nice to see you, hun.
I don't know why she would be so freaked out. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make sense, Stacey. It does not make any sense. Okay, so let me share my screen here. I've already got it put where I want it. Get out your pen and paper if that's what you do, or whatever it is you take notes with. Hold on for just 1 minute. We have a super chat from Capital Production. I told my husband, no one makes up a kid in your yard. Yeah, nobody is going to make up a kid in your yard. That is for sure. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. He gave that tip believing Michael was there in the yard and somebody had moved him. I mean, could you imagine that sunken feeling that he must have had thinking that he was about to get some great deal because he was giving it up? The information. Thank you so much for the super chat. We're going to celebrate our super Capital Productions. I can't do this without all of you. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is about where we were. Hey, honey, could you turn off that heater over there, please? Oh my gosh, I get so hot all the time. And then I get worked up. My husband says, you were freezing a half hour ago, and it's true. I was. I took a shower, I got a wet head, started getting too cold. Now my ears are covered up. All right. So this is about where we were. So this is where I chose to play it from. And I mean, there's actually a lot more than I thought here. Yeah, we may not get to another video today, but we will get to another video this week, I promise. All right, so let's finish going through this. The date when he told police was November 10th or 11th. I know they went in with search warrants on November 11th, so I don't know how many days prior or if it was the same day. Well, no, they went in with a search warrant and they arrested her, and Stacey was talking to them on the 11th. So he gave it prior to that. He must have talked to them and said several other things, but yeah, it was around then of 2022.
Who lives in Portland?
Who lives in Portland?
Yeah.
Oh, so Sarah's got so Sarah did prison time in Copper Creek, Oregon prison. So she has she calls her Mima, who is Kimberly Wright, and she lives in Tigard, Oregon, which is right out. It's like 45 minutes from outside of Port. I think it's 15 or 45 minutes from Portland.
Well, that's quite
and then she also has a friend that she's had for years, since like before Sarah went to prison, named Sarah Gant. And that's all that's as far as I know, that's the only connects like people that she's close to in Portland. She does have like her foster family that lives in Coos Bay, and all around the coast area. But that's all I know. Like I don't like, and if I don't, like I said, I don't know who any of these people are. Like I know Sarah, I mean the people I told you in Portland and Coos Bay, but other than that, I don't know any other association that Sarah has or family. I've only met a few people of her family on that her adoptive side of the family.
Seems like Sarah knows a lot of people. Did you so you never heard them in the house when Adrian was left in the house?
No, there's literally Adrian had came and told us, because we asked him if she wanted to come.
And by the way, I just want to give out a trigger warning to everybody else. Stacey, his mouth is gross and he is going to be very vulgar. He gets very angry, yells, cusses, the whole 9 yards at Brandi, at me. He gets very angry. So please, please protect your mental health if this kind of stuff bothers you. Yeah, I don't want anybody to, even though it is very hard to go over and see, if it hurts you too much, just don't watch, come back to it when you can. Watch it in little clips or something, but just protect yourself, please.
With this, and he said, no, I'm good. I'm tired. I'm just going to stay home. I said, all right, that's fine. But we don't leave, like I said, keep in mind, we don't leave any, like, our vehicles, all of our keys came with us every time. Like, we don't leave our keys in the house. They're always on our key rings. And so, he didn't have access to any of our vehicles.
And we talked about this before. He keeps mentioning, this whole, he never, and he brings it up. I know I asked him if he ever drove the taxis before, but prior to me asking him if he ever drove any of the cars and did taxis, he had kept mentioning before, we never left the keys with Adrian. He didn't have access to a car. And I'm trying to just find out, like, why does he keep saying that?
And I also know that when we came home, he had actually came out of the room and he was like super groggy, like he just got done sleeping. And
Did he ever drive any of the taxis for you guys?
No, we wouldn't let him because he didn't have a valid license. That was something we were very, very strict on, as far as like we didn't have anybody drive cab for us. It was me, Brandon, Sarah, and Carson occasionally that did taxi rides for us. And that was the extent of it. We wouldn't let other people drive because, number one, we weren't, as an LLC and like federally regulated with like EIN numbers and stuff like that, the way we had to report our taxes, we weren't able to hire anybody because we weren't a multi-member LLC. We were only single member.
Did you guys go to Portland after Michael was abducted?
Say it again?
Did you go to Portland after Michael was abducted?
No.
You didn't go?
I haven't gone, no. And I know Sarah hadn't gone. We hadn't been to Portland since, I think, like 2020, I think, is the last time we had gone through that way. And that was after, so I got out of prison on May 4th of 2020 out of Sheridan, Oregon. And Sarah had driven down to go stay with Mima or Kimberly Wright in Tigard, Oregon. And then she came and picked me up on May 4th. But then I know Sarah said that she wanted to go visit her family in outside of Portland.
Welcome in, True Crime Tribe. Nice to have you here. So, he's saying that he hadn't gone to Portland, but we know during Brooks' show and other shows, he talks about how they came to Vancouver, Washington, which you have to travel through Portland to get to if you're taking 84 west from Idaho to the Portland, Vancouver area. And they get here, they get a trailer, they take the trailer to Walla Walla, Washington, which is almost clear back to Idaho, going east. Then they talk about traveling all the way down to Grants Pass, Oregon, which is near the California border, and then going back to Idaho. Huge sidetracking going on because there would have been a much easier way to do that. They could have came into Portland, gone down to Grants Pass, came back up, went through Vancouver, picked up the trailer, went to Walla, Washington, and then crossed over the border from Washington into Idaho, and then right back down to where they were. And it would have been just a great big huge loop. But instead, he said that they did this like crisscrossing thing from Vancouver to Walla Walla, Washington, all the way down to Grants Pass next to California, and then back to Idaho. It didn't make sense. So I was excited to kind of get to this part because I forgot what he had told Brandi about where he was and what they were doing when they came to Portland. I wonder if Carson paid a 1099 taxes on that taxi income. Carson, the one who said he doesn't really know them, right? But he's driving their taxi vehicles. And I don't think that they would let just anybody drive their taxi cars. It really sounds like they just let, Brandon and Carson, these were people that had valid driver's license. I just don't understand why he keeps talking about, and we never left a vehicle. He had never had access to a vehicle when he talks about Adrian. It's strange.
Sorry, Coos Bay.
Did you go to somebody's house outside Portland to help move their stuff? What did he just say about Coos Bay? Because Coos Bay is like way down the Oregon coast. Hold on.
See, and like federally like regulated with like EIN numbers and stuff like that. The way we had to report our taxes, we weren't able to hire anybody because we weren't a multi-member LLC. We were only single member.
Did you guys go to Portland after Michael was abducted?
Say it again?
Did you go to Portland after Michael was abducted?
No.
You didn't go?
I haven't gone, no. And I know Sarah hadn't gone. We hadn't been to Portland since I think like 2020, I think, is the last time we had gone through that way. And that was after, so I got out of prison on May 4th of 2020 out of Sheridan, Oregon. And Sarah had driven down to go stay with Mima or Kimberly Wright in Tigard, Oregon. And then she came and picked me up on May 4th. But then I know Sarah said that she wanted to go visit her family in outside of Portland. Sorry, Coos Bay.
Did you go to somebody's house outside Portland to help move their stuff from one piece of property to another?
No,
disappeared.
No, we've never even been down that way, and we don't know anybody. Like I said, other than Mima, I mean, I haven't met anybody else, but other than Mima and Sarah Gant and her foster family in Coos Bay, Oregon. But that's literally the extent of the people that I've met on her side of the family. But we've had no other reason to go to Portland. We don't really travel that way. The furthest that we've gone, and I think,
so he is 100% deflecting the fact that he talked about coming down to the trailer to get the trailer to go to Walla Walla, to go to Grants Pass, or is he going to end up talking about it?
it was to Pendleton, Oregon, to go to the Wild Horse Resort and Casino.
But not Marissa's house?
Marissa Z?
Yeah.
Marissa doesn't live in Portland. She lives in Christmas Valley. And
Right.
I didn't meet Marissa until after Sarah had gotten arrested.
Oh, well, did you go to Portland in the truck the second week of August?
No, no. Hey, what are you doing? Start grabbing my shit, bro. I'm on the video. Sorry.
You're fine. Thank you.
No, Marissa lived in Christmas Valley, Oregon. I didn't meet Marissa until 2022, and it was right after Sarah had gotten arrested on April 4th or April 13th of 2022.
No, and I'm talking about 2021.
Yeah, so we had gone correct. We had driven. No, so we went to Grants Pass, Oregon, to go take a puppy, and the lady's name is Amy Church.
Here we go. He does end up saying it. Okay. And yes, that's what happened like a couple weeks into August after Michael's abduction.
And specifically, I can show you my contact if you guys would like to see it, because it's specifically listed in my contact.
And there he is talking about his timestamp on his phone again.
Mm-hmm. Calm down. Take a breath. I'm not getting angry. I'm just asking questions of statements that you've put online.
Is there a way
You're
I can
doing
upload a
great.
photo in the chat to you
Yep.
guys or somehow?
You can send it to Sam, or I don't know if you still talk to Eve. She can post it publicly if she wants, or you can even do it.
I don't know how to do it.
You can send
Can I
it to
post
my
an ad through the
email.
chat?
So but where does the
I think he knew Marissa prior, not after as well.
so you took the dog the second week in August?
Correct.
Okay. So you didn't take a trailer with the truck to a homeless man?
Hold on, I
I'm
gotta
sorry,
fix that.
Sam.
Hold on. No, you're fine. Hold on. I'm trying to close out of this.
That's
I
fine.
put my email
don't-
address
I-
up
I-
if you have
I-
anything you want to send, Stacy.
Thank you, Sam. I'm sorry I didn't. What better time? I mean, I need answers, and I'm.
You, my love, have.
Thank you
do
all
not
for
need to
being here.
apologize. You do not need to apologize for anything at all.
Thank you, everyone, for being here, and everybody that's here. Please continue to share Michael. Share his story, share his picture. Sarah and Stacey Wondra are still named suspects. Stacey, you are a named suspect in the abduction of Michael Joseph Vaughn, my son. And I am here to get answers. And I need them, and I want them. And I'm not going to give up.
We lost Stacy. He'll probably come back. He was having some issues right before then.
I thought they went to Texas about the dog.
They were 2 trips about a dog. They went down to Texas to get a dog to bring back to Idaho, as far as the stories go. And they went and did a dog thing over in Oregon. But I haven't heard those things spoken about in quite a long time, the one over in Portland. Everybody just always talks about the one down in Texas. And that happened right around the same time that Brandon's grandfather passed away.
I really want to know about the trip to Oregon, the trip to Portland. Very, very curious about that. If there's
Here's Stacy. He's back. So you can ask him more about it.
I am so sorry. I accidentally X'd out of the video on accident.
Don't push
that's
buttons.
Okay, so when Amy was only wanting to pay us $200 to go to Grants Pass, and so to deliver the dog. And so I told Sarah, I was like, well, why don't I look on Craigslist and try to find somebody who needs to go ahead, like under ride shares, who's trying to go that way. And there was an ad on Craigslist. I don't forget what this guy's name was, but he had a trailer that needed to be towed because he was trying to get back to his house in, I want to say, Vancouver. And so we had dropped him off with his trailer in Vancouver, and then drove straight to Grants Pass and dropped off the black lab, the puppy that we had dropped off, and then we headed straight back to Boise, or to Fruitland.
So you went from Fruitland
to Vancouver, or sorry, Fruitland to outside Cuna, I believe is where this guy lived. I think it was like, I would say it was like Eagle Street or something like that. I don't remember exactly verbatim. Where'd you go?
She fell off for a second.
So,
can somebody please add the link? It is up at the top. I don't know if the link at the top is working, but can somebody post it down at the bottom?
No, so, yeah, so we.
Right, Halo, like he can move somebody, but he cannot dig a hole, right? And Slim, no, the guy here in Vancouver was not Randy Strickland. It was somebody else. It was a homeless man, but it wasn't Randy. He said his name. I did write it down somewhere, but it was oh my gosh, where was that? But it wasn't him. It was another. Oh my gosh, that was in my notes so long ago. Victor. His name was Victor. You're welcome. Yeah, we looked up the road that he said. So Vancouver, Washington has some suburbs, and Camas and Washougal area is part of it. I am like close to there, and when you look up Eagle Road, it shows up like Camas, which isn't too far from where I'm at, but it's right outside. No problem, Rizzo. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Gone from Fruitland to go pick up this guy. I think it was around the Cuna area, if I remember right. And we picked up this guy and his trailer, and then we headed back towards. That's when our trip started. And we went straight from there to we made our stop to Vancouver, dropped him and his trailer off at his house, and then we went straight from there to Grants Pass and dropped.
So now he's saying he went to Vancouver and then went to Grants Pass. Earlier he said he got to Vancouver with the trailer, picked the trailer up and went to Walla Walla. And then from Walla Walla down to Grants Pass. So he's mixing stories up. Yeah, everything he says is like tossed salad.
Dropped off the puppy and then came back to Fruitland.
Didn't you guys all change phones during that time?
We didn't change phones. We changed phone carrier. So we had AT&T, and then we went and set up a business account with Verizon.
Got it. Who has the recording studio?
Recording studio?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, a recording studio? Nobody's had a recording studio.
In Oregon, you guys know someone that has a recording studio?
No, Adrian said that he had made YouTube videos in the past, but it wasn't. He never claimed that he had a studio. I don't know anybody that has a music studio or a recording studio at all.
Okay. I'm just kind of baffled on all of these places, you know, that you say you were, and the times have changed.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So, is this like, are these questions that you're asking, Brandi, are they coming from you directly, or are they coming from like law enforcement asking?
This part just cracks me up. He's like, are these questions coming from you, or are they coming from law enforcement? It just cracks me up. I just think that something that she asked him, something that she said, made him nervous. Something made him nervous because he wanted to know who was asking questions.
You need to ask them.
These ones are questions that
you've come up with.
That I've come up with.
That's fine. I was just curious. I just, you know what I mean.
What were your questions on your
polygraph?
Yeah, super cool.
So the questions they literally asked me, there's 5 questions. They asked me, is the door shut? Is the light on in the room? What number did I write down on the wall? Not me, but these are literally verbatim what he asked me. Mm-hmm. What number did I write down on the wall? And the last 2 were, do you have any knowledge or any information or any involvement in Michael's disappearance? And I said no. And then he asked if you knew of any involvement or had any information or knew something.
Yeah, all of those questions, door being closed, number on the wall, the light in the room, all those would be questions law enforcement or the polygrapher would ask to start being able to determine true things in life, because you know they have to ask them questions they already know the answer to in order to see and tell if he's going to lie or tell the truth. It's the different questions in the very beginning that start determining everything, and Stacey says he passed that.
Thing of his involvement, would you report it? And I said yes. And that's literally the 5 questions they asked me. And then when
No, Brandon did not rent the equipment to dig his grandfather's grave. He went and got equipment from his sister in Idaho, who had some equipment of his father's there at her place, I believe. And that is how he got the equipment needed to go and dig at the cemetery.
when I completed the polygraph, he said, "Give me a minute, I'll be right back." And he came back and he goes, "How do you feel you did?" And I said, "I told the truth." And he goes, "You're right, you did."
Huh. Those were
The 5 questions that he asked me. He only asked me 5 questions, and what questions I told you is what he asked me.
Would you take another?
Of course, I'd take another one. I'd take another one in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, Kelly. Just setting up a baseline.
This is the thing. Like, I'm like,
I heard that Sarah had said something about God taking Michael to
that's what I'm
Portland.
telling you. That's what I was trying to tell you. So all of this, like you question, like, why is she saying that you did it? And that's why I made the point of, why would she go in court and say, "Oh, Stacey told me this," and then she claimed that she was Stacey? Why would she? Excuse me. Why would she say that? "Oh, the Most Highest God told me that this happened." "Oh, God told me that Stacey did it," or you know what I mean? Like, her story was like, she was going through a very messed up situation mentally and emotionally. It's not easy being labeled something that you didn't do. And I'm just like,
It was my husband.
I don't know anything about your husband. Okay, and I'm sorry if he's going through this shit too, this stuff too. And it's not fair and it's not right. But Brandi, I have no reason to lie to you.
Somebody needs to tell the truth.
No, exactly. 100%. But I need you to know one thing, Brandi, is that I don't have a reason or a want to lie about something like this to you. I want Michael to come home just as much as everybody else in this world. He doesn't deserve to be separated from his family, or he didn't deserve to be taken from his family. And I'm going to be straight up with you. If I ever find out who did it and I encounter this person somehow or some way in the world, they're not going to have a very good time. And I can promise you that. This is not
like he would be able to figure that out if he wasn't a suspect, but he is a suspect, and yet he still wants to play this role as, if I ever find out who did this to Michael. He has done this in several different lives. It's totally disgusting that he's even doing this to Brandi's face in this live. It was disgusting. All I wanted to do was shut it down. And Slim, you're absolutely right. Green cemeteries are not protected from any kind of searches. If law enforcement wants to search somewhere, they're going to search. They can get a warrant. They can do anything they need to do. If it meets the criteria, if there's enough evidence, enough whatever to do some kind of search.
not like a threat. It's facts and it's reality.
Hello, OG Nanny.
As a matter of fact, I beat the crap out of a sex offender in prison. Just recently, in the last...
Exactly. True Crime Tribe has it right. Behavioral aggression, antisocial behavior, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and irritability. He has all of them. He's a sociopath, psychopath, both. I don't know. Narcissist. So many roles here he plays. You didn't know that, hair curlers and crime? Yes. So Brandon's grandmother owns a green cemetery. There's no coffins or anything. They've just, holes are dug, people are laid down into them. I'm assuming probably wrapped in like biodegradable material. I don't know that for sure. And laid to rest in the ground. And when his grandfather passed away, just a few months after Michael passed away, he went up and dug the hole there at the cemetery for his grandfather.
Couple months back in July, I beat the frick out of this dude. He sat there.
I saw that. I saw it.
Like I don't play with this.
And then he talks about like, I beat the F out of this dude. Like he beat the frig out of this dude. No, the only thing he did is this guy sitting down, obviously having some mental issues. Some of us saw it on Justin For All's live, and this guy's having some major mental issues. He's kind of rocking back and forth. He's saying some things. Stacey walks by, slaps him in the face, and walks back into his cell or back into the room where he was staying. Not beating the frig out of some dude. He slapped him.
Stop. Like, I don't think you realize, Brandi, like
Why?
I'm a very good person at heart. And I would never allow myself to have involvement.
Okay, so big trigger warning here. Brandi starts getting very emotional talking about Michael and pretty much starts begging Stacey Wondra to tell her where her son is. Where is Michael Vaughn? So anybody that needs to take a break or can't handle this, please protect your mental health. This does get very, very emotional for anybody that hasn't seen it. To see Brandi get so upset. So just a little bit of a trigger warning here.
Or let alone be known or made known that somebody had involvement without me dealing with it myself and taking it to law enforcement after I beat the fuck out of the person. Like, I'm not okay with this at all. And I'm sorry, excuse my
Did you tell
language.
anybody in Ada County?
Ada County, no. But what I've learned is that people in Ada County are sitting there 20%. There are in the jail, are trying to give false quote. I don't know. That's what I've been told, but they're trying to give something like telling out law enforcement that I told them where this little boy was. And I never would ever talk about my stuff, especially to people in jail. It's none of their business, number one. Yeah, I've been blasted all over the media, so I don't really have to explain myself other than I didn't.
Oh yeah, that look on Brandi's face right there is a very pissed off mama. She is absolutely floored, disgusted. She's like rolling her eyes right here. She is rolling her eyes like, yeah. Shut up, you fucking liar. I mean, what else would you be thinking at this point? I mean, everything he says is a friggin' lie. She's frustrated. She's pissed. And yet she is so graceful and shows so much strength during this interview.
Do it. I wish I could give you more answers, Brandi. I wish I could give you and tell you who the person is that did this. I wish you didn't have to suffer. This is not fair.
No, it's not.
To look at her and tell her this is not fair, just disgusting. He wants to play the victim so much to the victim. I mean, Monkey is the victim, but his family is also victims because they have lost him. And it's disgusting to see him here. It's just so bad.
Why did behavior changed so drastically after Michael was abducted. The TikToks, you're her husband. You talk
I know.
to her every day, Stacey, don't you?
Say it again.
You talk to her every day.
Yeah, but I also know that Sarah was very conceited and
Hair curlers and crime, the gravestones, some have gravestones and some don't, but people pick up rocks and pile them in piles there. And sometimes they even write or will engrave rocks. And I'm talking like boulders or a lot of little boulders or whatever. But yeah, there's no headstones made out of like what you would see at a normal cemetery. People are just buried there all natural. It's just like you can, you know, bury yourself in several places around here and have a tree planted over you in some of the Greenway cemeteries. They're very beautiful.
she hid a lot of stuff, just like the gun that she held Tanner at gunpoint with. I had no knowledge about her having a gun. The gun that she had, she ended up selling it to Carson. So it made absolutely no sense.
Stacey, would you help me get Michael home? No more.
Wait, say it again.
Will you help me get Michael home? Please.
I can do everything I can. I can help try to find him, Brandi. I don't know where to even start. I want to give you answers.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, when she's got her hand out here, she is trying to keep Tyler back. Tyler come into the room wanting to say something. He didn't realize that Stacey was going to be on there or something. I'm not sure exactly how it went, but she is trying to keep Tyler back.
Brandi, I want to tell you who the fuck did this. And if I could, I would. But I don't have anything to give you, and I am tore up for you. I want your boy to come home, Brandi.
Then tell the truth, please.
I don't have any tell the truth to give you. I've told everything I can, Brandi. You don't understand. Yes, I understand that's your boy. I know, Brandi. And if I had an answer to give you, if I had an answer to bring, no, I don't, Brandi.
You would help me.
Brandi, I would turn the person in a heartbeat. You don't understand, Brandi. I'm not the person that did this.
Please,
I don't know how much more clear I can be.
Hero, Stacey, please.
Brandi, I want to be your hero and bring him home, but I don't have anything
I
or
don't
way
want
to
you to
bring
be
him.
my hero. I want you to be Michael's hero.
I know, and I want to be his hero too, but I can't without having something to give them, Brandi. I'm trying to explain this to you. What do I tell them? What do I just?
Sarah, tell them about Brandon, please.
I don't. I told them everything. That's what you don't. Brandi, I'm not protecting them, Brandi. What am I? Because I'm pretty sure I've just told the truth every freaking time that I've done a statement, Brandi. I don't know what you're.
Enforcement saying you're a suspect. Why is there evidence that Michael was at your house? Why did you say he was buried in that backyard? Why did you lie? Why did you tell them that? I had to sit here and listen to those trucks every day. You seen him that night.
Brandi.
You seen him that night. Tell me about the kid. Tell me about the kid on the road. Was it him?
That was not him. No, it was not him.
How come you changed ages, sex, color of
It
hair?
what?
All of your statements. How come that little boy? Were you okay? You said you pulled off out of the neighborhood up here on 8th. There are no houses here. You cannot see down 6 houses.
How can you tell me I can't see 6 houses? That
I honestly believe if she would have let Tyler intervene, that Stacey would have dropped off, because Tyler was going to be there to give it to him.
was not your son, Brandi.
It's so hard to watch this.
What do you want me to say?
You You changed your story continuously, and then you
No,
said,
I haven't.
Yes, you
I have
have.
specified in every one of my podcasts that I have done that my information may not be 100% clear, as it has been almost 3.5 years.
Yeah, and like Hot Mess is pointing out, at this time, Brandi has already seen the body cam footage before she released it to the public, and it's a wonder why she's just so upset. She has seen it. She has seen and heard Stacey talk about where Michael was buried at in the backyard, directing law enforcement exactly to where Michael was buried.
Would you remember something 3.5 years verbatim,
Yes!
detail? Would you? Because I guarantee you wouldn't. No.
And how he questions her, would you? And she screams, yes. But how dare him question her and what she remembers? I guarantee you, Brandi and the Vaughn family remember every single thing that happened, especially on the day that their son was abducted and days afterwards. And I'm sure there were at times where, yeah, there probably some kind of fog created by so much that was going on and days kind of mixing in together. But I bet you even during the fog, she can still tell you everything that was going on during that time. Stacey plays a victim. Stacey's playing a game. He is trying to control and manipulate Brandi. And the biggest mistake that he made was getting up on panel with Brandi. Brandi is privy to information that none of us have. He's not up here talking to a regular YouTube creator. He is talking to the mother of Michael Vaughn, the child that he helped abduct.
Nobody can remember something identical, pinpointing it to it.
Hold up 1 second. We need to give Brandi a second to calm down. And
Please.
I got a little bit of heat saying something about Brandi calming down. I think not only did Brandi need, like, I felt like she needed to calm down because she had been so sick, and I was worried, you know, her heart rate, her blood pressure, like all of the stuff going on. But I also needed like a break for a second, not from Brandi, but just like, I mean, I was in tears listening to her beg Stacey. And then I was angry and pissed listening to him come out here, you know, the way that he was. I had like all of these emotions going on, and like I cannot even imagine the emotions that Brandi was feeling. But I got heat from people in the comments section for asking and just saying, hey, let's give a moment for Brandi, you know, to calm down a little bit, because us moms, grandmothers, we don't like our kids or anybody like, hey, calm down, you know. But she was just so sick at the time, I started getting worried about her.
breathe for a minute.
Tell me, what was the boy doing that you saw on the road?
And of course, her strength takes her right back into asking questions. No break, no calming down, no nothing. She's just ready to hop right back into it. She's done taking her couple of breaths and she's ready to go.
That night,
It wasn't your boy, Brandi. And he was outside of some house playing down the road.
Which house?
On the right-hand side. I don't know what house. I don't know exactly what house. I don't have an address to give you, other than it was literally probably like 4 or 5 houses on the right-hand side of the road. And it was not Michael.
Let's not yell, Stacey. Let's not yell, Stacey.
You would have had to
She
drive
is very sick.
by the kid, right?
Correct.
Can you,
But by the time I had filled up the power steering and we had taken off, he had already gone back inside with his family.
How do you know
I had watched his because I don't know that it was family's house. All I know is I watched somebody come out of the side of their house and told them that it was time to come inside. And that's all I know. What else do you want me to give you? It wasn't your boy. You want to make
How many stories have we heard about this child that he saw? You know, she was screaming at him, how the child changed sexes, you know, from a girl to a boy, changed ages because he says 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how tall he was from being a young child all the way up to being a tall. He says at one point that it was Hispanic boy. He says dark hair, blonde hair. He describes clothes at one point. He talks about him being 4, 5, 6 houses down on 8th Street, and then tells Dolly Vision that he was in the front yard of a house across from the field. He talks about Michael being on, well, the child that he saw being on a sidewalk when there's no sidewalk on 8th on the right-hand side of the road or on Arizona at all. It's actually on the left-hand side of the road on 8th Street. So Michael wasn't on the sidewalk, or this child. He says the child was on the sidewalk, that he was up in the yard. He at one point didn't know what the boy was playing with, but then did, but couldn't remember, and then got all sketched out about it. Everything he said about this boy just changed, everything. And now he can remember that it was a beige house when he was already asked the color of the house before. And now there's a news story. He's sitting here telling Brandi that somebody came outside and hollered for the child to come in, and the child went inside. Hadn't heard that before. He just is creating the stories as he goes along, line. And he's yelling at her here, which is so disturbing.
Make up something?
So you saw a little boy. You pulled off the side of the road on 8th. Was it on directly outside?
No. Clarify. I did not see the little boy until after I had gotten out of the truck and opened the hood, and I heard noise coming.
And here we have already found this slip up before, but he says, and he has this like S sound. If you guys want to, like, he says he heard. I thought he was going to say, I heard screaming. It could be, I heard Sarah. I heard something. But whatever it is that he was going to say, he does not finish saying it. He just uses S. So here, listen to this. Hold on, let me back up just a little bit.
He'd gone back inside with his family.
How do you know
I had watched his, because I don't know there was families.
Here he goes.
All I know is I watched somebody come out of the side.
Somebody come out of the side. He's describing this person coming out of the side. This person hollering for this child.
Of their house, and told them that it was time to come inside. And that's all I know. What else do you want me to give you? It wasn't your boy. You want to make up something?
Okay, I think it's coming right here.
You saw a little boy. You pulled off the side of the road on 8th. Was it on directly outside?
No.
Clarify. Jesus. He's so ridiculous.
I did not see the little boy until after I had gotten out of the truck and opened the hood, and I heard,
here it comes, and you'll hear
noise coming from the background of somebody playing in the yard. Playing in the yard of the house. I have an address to give you other than playing in the yard of the house.
Oh, little boy. You pulled off the side of the road on 8th. Was it on directly outside?
No. Clarify. I did not see the little boy until after I had gotten out of the truck and opened the hood, and I heard noise coming from the background of somebody playing in the yard.
Yeah, don't know what was, but he definitely starts to say something and then says noise. I think it's a slip up.
Of the house. Just to get that straight. We didn't pull off because we saw somebody playing in the front yard. To clarify.
Okay. Let me calm down here. So you pulled out of Hidden Meadows subdivision, correct?
Yeah,
he
did.
Carry on.
Okay. The next road to turn is
the next right turn was Arizona Street.
Correct. So
We
from where
pulled
you
off
left
before
it, Madam,
that.
okay, in between, because that's
He gets so friggin' nasty here. It's just so nasty the way he's talking. We pulled over before that. Like, very just manipulative, just very disgusting the way he treats her.
that's all field right there on the right hand side. That's nothing.
And
to
there's
see.
also a pull-off spot.
Right there.
Yeah, like she doesn't know or hasn't visited that spot a million times, Stacey. Shut up.
Right before the sign on 8th. Or excuse
Correct.
me, Arizona. On Arizona.
Like, he treats her like she's stupid when she has wandered that neighborhood a million times. I mean, reliving what happened to her son. Over and over and over again. Walking up and down Arizona, walking up and down 8th, walking up and down in her... She has walked that friggin' neighborhood so many times. The way he gets at her here, like she's stupid and she doesn't know, is just god-awful.
So
Correct.
where was the little boy? Because you would have had to pull off right there in front of Arizona and 8th.
Very
Right
good.
there where the pull off is. I've stood there and I've looked down the road. Which house looking down the road? I know you said 5 or 6 houses down the road. You said this child was playing in the yard. Was he standing? Was he sitting?
He was standing in the yard. How else would I notice somebody who was he was like having a good time? He was just being himself. I don't know. He was being like every fucking other kid that wants to have fun in their life. Like, I don't know. Like, it was not Michael. Trust me, I'm very, very.
So many creators asked him about Michael. Or about this child. Sorry, I keep saying Michael. About the child that he said he saw in the neighborhood. So many creators. He answered all their questions. But when Brandi wants to know the answers to questions that she has about the child that she wants to see, he turns into a monster. This is the real Stacey Wondra, guys. This person right here talking to Brandi is the real deal. This is who Stacey Wondra is. He is a monster. And anybody that thinks any other way is ridiculous. He's not a nice person. He's not a good person. In my opinion, I don't believe him to be a godly person. Otherwise, he would be asking for forgiveness and telling law enforcement everything he knows and not lying constantly. I cannot express how much that after this live, when I realized how just monstrous he was, he is a friggin' monster. His true colors show here. To talk like this to the mother of an abducted child that he is a suspect in, and he knows it, and he still treats Brandi this way. Caesar gets emotional and begs, "Where is my son? Can you help me?" Begging him to tell her anything, and continues, and then goes and continues to manipulate, control, be condescending, be all of these ugly things, and act like a monster. Just answer her questions. Give her the same respect as you had all the other creators, the other YouTube creators that you spoke with. Why are you so mad at her for asking? Did you think she wasn't on the YouTube streets watching every single one of those lives?
Familiar with faces, Brandi. And Michael's face was not that boy.
But I know all my neighbors, and there's no children. There are no kids there.
Well, there was a kid there. And it wasn't Michael. So I don't know what else to tell you. Other than what I saw and what I...
Sarah drove on the way there and the way back. It was in all of his interviews that she was going to learn how to tow. And Brandon also says that she drove there and back.
heard. And what I know that somebody came in the house and told them that it was time to come inside. I don't know if these people had friends that had kids or if somebody was babysitting. I don't know.
You saw that person tell that kid to go inside?
I heard the person tell them to come in.
So you were close enough to hear, but couldn't see. Which house, or do you remember which house? I know it's been 1,240 days, 3.5 years of pure hell and nightmares. People claiming they know where my son is and won't tell me. So,
If I knew who your boy was, I would have already told them that at the beginning of everything.
I love that Brandi got an attitude right there. Just please beware. Just watch your tone a little bit, Stacey. Please watch your tone.
I'm just curious, which house was it that you saw this little?
It was a beige house. I don't know exactly the number. It was a beige house.
And it's on that right side right there on 8th.
There were like 3-4 beige houses on 8th Street, by the way. Almost all of them are beige.
Right.
And there's only 6 houses from Arizona, or on 8th Street from Arizona to Washington.
Between Arizona and Washington.
All right.
I know all of those neighbors.
Okay. And I'm sorry that you, okay, and maybe you ever think maybe they were babysitting or maybe, you know,
I know their grandchildren.
maybe they had a friend over. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? I don't have anything to give you, Brandi. I have told every fucking thing. You're trying to get something, like, get me to say I have information. I don't have any.
No, Hot Mess, when he talked about them driving to Cuna, he talks about Sarah driving. Brandon even says Sarah was driving. She was learning how to tow a vehicle, and she was driving because Stacey said he had already been driving all that day and he was really sore, and that if he would have driven, he would have been even more sore. Yeah, I'm the only reason I'm correcting the information that you wrote is because Sarah drove there and back, and I just don't want people to think anything different. And if you go back and listen to the interviews, you can hear him, and he says that Sarah was driving because he was hurting that day.
Anything.
Do you believe that
You
Sarah
could have been.
and Adrian and Brandon were involved?
No, not at all.
Nothing to do with it. If you
No.
don't.
Brandon, me, and Sarah were all gone that night, Brandi. We were in Cuna towing Brandon's vehicle back to Fruitland because I was going to help him repair his spark plugs that he had blew out of the hole because he's a dumb person and doesn't know how to drive and thinks that high revving a vehicle is the coolest thing ever. Brandi, I will give anything I can for him to come home. I don't have anything. There's nothing I have that I can give to law enforcement. Everything that I have told him is I've told. I don't have anything further. I don't know what else you want me to give. I can't just magically pull it out of my butt, Brandi. Like,
she's looking for her son. She's frustrated, Stacey.
I know. I want him to come home.
You said that you would let her ask questions and that you would speak calmly. So just, I've had about enough right here as far as all of this goes. When I told him, like, beware, that was me. I was done. I just wanted to kick him down off stage. I was done listening to this piece of shit treat Brandi like crap. Then he's continuing on and on and on. This is to the point where, okay, I'm done. I even got to the point where, like, is this even good for Brandi? And I know that it was, but I still hold guilt in my heart for this interview happening and allow it to happen, even though I know it's something that she wanted and she still thanks me for. It was just difficult to allow his behavior towards her. I really just felt like I needed to protect her, and it got too much. And at this point, I'm just done.
Do so. Let her talk if she needs to talk.
No, and that's
Please
fine. That's
try
fine.
not to talk over her.
Or me, because he wanted to keep talking over me.
And
Like, I need you to know, Brandi, like, I have had nothing to do with him. I will put that on my life.
Okay.
I am
allow me to make
okay at this point.
statement right now.
If somebody held me at gunpoint right now, specifically law enforcement, and told me to give them answers, they'd have to shoot me because I wouldn't have anything to give them, Brandi. That's
Well, think about it, Stacey. If you get life in prison and you get the death penalty, the firing squad will deal with you then. Sorry, had to.
where this is at. At this
Let
point,
Brandi
they can go
pause for a
ahead.
second and let her talk for a minute. Just pause for just a second.
And this is to the point where I keep hitting his mute mic because he keeps trying to talk over me. He keeps trying to talk over Brandi, and I keep pushing his mute button. He keeps unmuting it, and it pisses him off so bad he ends up falling off. He just like leaves. It's the reason that he ends up leaving.
Second, please. Thank you, Stacey.
What were you doing before you left?
Before I went to CUNA, I had taken a couple taxi rides that day. Specifically, I got woken up by Sarah at like 11 or 11:30 in the morning with a phone call saying a taxi ride needed to be picked up in Ontario and taken to Boise to the airport. And after dropping this person off at the airport, as I was headed home, I get another phone call from Sarah saying that a taxi ride needed to go from Ontario to the A&W.
Which A&W?
The one in Payette.
Why did you say the one in Ontario?
I said he needed to be picked up in Ontario and taken to the A.
So here's a little bit of clarification, because I know some people that have been coming in and watching all of these. We've been wondering about the AMW, the AMW, and he had said it was I think she just said Ontario, but it was actually in Payette. So let's rewind, recap over that part right there, because so many people were getting confused about the A&W. Because he lied about what an AMW that he went to, and there were a group of creators that got together, took pictures that he showed everybody from his phone, and in the selfie that he took outside the A&W, there was brick behind him, and that brick did not match the A&W he had originally said he went to. So here we're gonna find out, because Brandi knows the story. For anybody that wants to pay attention and listen about the A&W story.
Before I went to CUNA, I had taken a couple taxi rides that day. Specifically, I got woken up by Sarah at like 11 or 11:30 in the morning with a phone call saying a taxi ride.
Yes, and then Hair Curlers and Crimes also points out all them details that he can recall right here too about his day. We're about to listen to more things about his day that he's telling her that we have heard him do in other interviews. And let me tell you, he does not say a damn word about Labor Day, where he said he spent 3 hours that day. He also starts talking, I believe it's here, about another taxi ride. I'll start pausing as we get through things that are new that he's saying.
Ride needed to be picked up in Ontario and taken to Boise to the airport. And after dropping this person off at the airport, as I was headed home, I get another phone call from Sarah saying that a taxi ride needed to go from Ontario to the A&W.
Which A&W?
The one in Payette.
Why did you say the one in Ontario?
I said he needed to be picked up in Ontario.
So now he is saying that he picked the taxi ride up in Ontario and the guy wanted to go to an A&W, and he's saying in Payette, which is correct. That is the one where he was seen at. But early on, he said he went to the A&W in Ontario. So you mean to tell me that he left Ontario, went through Payette to the A&W, and then went to Boise?
And taken to the A&W.
Just like Sarah said, he was also so caught off guard by Brandi because she knew details, and he was trying to lie about, or he was trying to lie about and change. Well, she is privy to information, so she knows. So he can't lie to her.
I'm sure there's many creators that have that clip of the statement of you stating that you didn't go to the one in the art or the
that you went to the one in Ontario.
I already sent my GPS photos.
Mm-hmm.
I sent my GPS photos because I had specifically gone to the pharmacy right after I had dropped this person off at the A&W. And I went to the pharmacy at the Albertsons in Payette to go pick up Sarah's prescription because she had just had tooth surgery. I specifically remember picking a prescription because it was the oxycodones or whatever it was. Hydrocodones for pain.
That was all on the 27th?
The what?
That was on the 27th of July,
Yes.
2021.
And I specifically know that it was that because I have pictures and GPS that I have already submitted that state the date and time that I'm outside the brick building, the brick side of Albertsons, in the Lexus, outside the pharmacy on that day at 3:30 p.m. to be exact.
Did Sarah hide Michael from you so you wouldn't give him back?
No, Sarah would never do that. Nothing like that would go on at our house. You need to keep in mind, I'm very keen and very aware of what happens around our house. And there would be no time frame for when something like this would be allowed or had enough time for something like that to happen.
Well, you were incarcerated when you gave the tip, and then Adrian wasn't around, so that only leaves two people, which would be Sarah or Brandon, that could have possibly moved Michael if he was actually in the yard.
No, because Sarah was also incarcerated, but she'd only gotten out for a period of like 3 months on pretrial release, and then got violated for violating her pretrial release.
And here I was so friggin' nervous that I was like, if he was actually in the yard. Of course I knew he was in the yard. We've talked about it 1,000 times, and I had no clue why I worded it the way that I did. Totally just messed up my wording talking to him.
And that's when they came and searched the search warrant to the house and hit her with the failure to report the death.
The phone that you showed put you in the park.
The what?
The phone that you showed put you in the park. Kiwanis Park.
Correct. That was where I picked the client up for the taxi. And I'd taken him to Payette to the A&W where they wanted to go.
And you don't think that looks suspicious that you're at 2 splash pads that day? But Michael comes up missing. And I thought that the other park that he went to was a splash pad when it wasn't.
No, I don't, because I wasn't at the splash pad. I went to the apartment complex right across the street from the splash pad. If you look on Google Maps, there's an apartment complex that's right across the street from there. It has a pond that's literally right inside that park. It's right across from the park.
Do you have records of your taxi drives for that day?
No, that was most of the taxi customers either paid with cash or card. And that day I went through all of my Square payments because that's who we used for credit card processing. and we didn't take any credit card payments. That was a cash deposit. And it was a $150 ride when I picked the person up from Ontario to Boise. That was a $150 ride one way. And the Ontario one was a
Talking
$25
about an
ride.
apartment complex next to the splash pad in Payette.
No, Kiwanis Park is in Ontario. The splash pad is
Gotcha.
there's a park in Payette, but we weren't near the park. I had dropped him off at the A&W. I don't have anything else to give you other than what I've said. I wish I could magically make it happen, Brandi.
Did you tell
Like I wish. You what?
Did you tell your mom that Michael is dead?
No, I never said Michael was dead. My mom had asked if he was still alive or what happened. I said, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I can't answer something or confirm something if I don't have an answer.
He didn't say that he was picking up the customer and taking him to the A&W in Ontario. He was picking up the person in Ontario and taking them to the A&W in Payette. I don't know. I'm kind of really confused on everything that he's saying here because his conflicting lies and everything has me confused. And I'm not sure if he's talking about a second taxi ride in Payette here.
Your phone showed you being at the Payette Park, not the Kiwanis Park. So
Payette Park. Yes, I picked up the person in Ontario at the Kiwanis Park,
okay.
Or the apartment complex right next to it.
Okay.
And I took that person from the apartment complex to the A&W in Payette, which I believe is like within walking distance for Albertsons. And I went.
Okay, so he's clarifying that there. Wow, did y'all hear that? What did we hear? He said his mom asked, is Monkey was still alive? He said his mom asked if Monkey was still alive. I'm going to rewind to that.
Phone showed you being at the Payette Park. Not
Like I wish. You what?
Did you tell your mom that Michael is dead?
No, I never said Michael was dead. My mom had asked if he was still alive or what happened. I said, I don't know.
He even says she instead of he. If Michael was still alive. Good catch, AB. Let's rewind that again just a little bit. That's strange.
I don't have anything else to give you other than what I've said. I wish I could magically make it happen, Brandi.
Did you tell?
Like I wish.
Why would his mom ask
You
that?
what?
Did you tell your mom that Michael is dead?
No, I never said Michael was dead. My mom had asked if he was still alive or what happened. I said, I don't know.
That made him so nervous he didn't even say he. He says she, but uses the word if. So his own mom asked if Michael was alive or dead. And Brandi straight up asked him, did you tell your mom that Michael was dead? Wow, that's huge. Let me write this one down. Yeah, he was definitely shook. Good catch, Evie.
I don't have an answer. I can't answer something or confirm something if I don't have an answer.
Your phone showed you being at the Payette Park, not the Kiwanis Park. So
Payette Park. Yes, I.
Hot Mess says he said he got to the airport call from Sarah at 11 for a 1 o'clock pickup to the airport. Yeah, he got a phone call from Sarah at 11, said he needed to pick somebody up in Ontario and take them to the Boise airport. And he is saying here that The person he picked up also wanted to go buy the A&W and pay it.
I picked up the person in Ontario at the Kiwanis Park,
Okay.
or the apartment complex right next to it.
Okay.
And I took that person from the apartment complex to the A&W and Payette, which I believe is like within walking distance from Albertsons. And I went from there directly to Albertsons to go pick up the prescription for Sarah. And I think I picked up a prescription for my Prilosec or some shit like that. I don't know.
So is he leaving out the whole, like, went to the airport in Boise here or what? It's weird.
So long ago. I don't like I'm trying to give everything I can, like, to the best of my abilities.
He was seen at the splash pad at 1:30. So he didn't even get to Ontario until almost 1:45 or so to do the taxi ride. Because he's seen on CCTV camera at 1:30 p.m. parked at the splash pad to get his chew off of the floorboard.
Well, your phone showed that you were in the park in Payette.
I don't know what to tell you.
So
I'm giving everything that I can. I've given everything I can.
That was you.
Okay, correct.
So you never.
But show me where.
That's not.
Show me where my GPS history shows that I was in that park, because I wasn't.
He was in that park. He was in that park for almost 2 to 3 hours. And he showed everybody sitting in that park when they went over his phone on a live on YouTube.
I had gone by the park to go to A&W to drop him off.
Behind A&W, there.
And it's a skate park that's there.
There's you'd have to 4x it to go directly across to the park from the back of the A&W, because it's right across the street from the Albertsons.
And she knows this area very well, because the Albertsons where he picked up his prescription is the same Albertsons where she works. This park, skate park that he sat at for 2 to 3 hours, is kitty corner from her work. So she knows this area. And so he's getting more and more frustrated with her because she knows what the hell she's talking about. And it pisses him off.
And there's a yield there because it's two roads.
I know exactly what it is.
So that doesn't make any sense. So you were next to the skate park is what I was told. That's where you're
never at the park. And until you can show.
You showed it.
I know. I showed that I was at the Albertsons at 3:30 p.m. exactly like I said.
It showed you next to the skate park.
Yeah, he is definitely not able, if he's seen on CCTV camera at 1:30, then he leaves to go to Ontario, and then he drives from there to Payette, and then to Boise Airport, is not getting back to Payette by 3:30, like he's saying, to just sit in a park for 2 to 3 hours, because then he tells everybody that he's home by 4:15, 4:30. 4:45. I mean, he just goes on with his times.
Yeah.
Correct. And the skate park is right next to the A&W.
It's across the street and across the park.
Correct. I don't have anything else to give you, Brandi. I would have turned that shit in had I been given some sort of light to it. I don't hide stuff like that, Brandi, and I don't think you understand.
So why were you there?
I couldn't live with myself if...
Exactly. I've said that too before here, Curlers in Crime. He also is taking cash, he is saying, all day long. So there is no payment or, there's no way to prove any of what he's saying whatsoever, because he's saying all this is done with cash. So there's no credit card receipts. There's no, Venmo. There's no nothing. It's cash.
if I knew something about it.
When you went to the splash pad in Payette,
What about
was
it?
Exactly. He said he went to go visit Labor Dave and he didn't because he wouldn't have had time to visit Labor Dave. He doesn't even mention Labor Dave here at all when he speaks to Brandi.
You didn't stay there for, you just dropped him off and went and got the prescription and left?
Correct. Dropped him off at the A&W, got
that
the
was
prescription. Say it again.
And that was 3:30?
Correct.
So
And I actually,
you
if you guys reach out to Eve, I have sent her all of the GPS location. I showed pictures of where I was at 3:30 p.m. and it's
Yeah, and if you look at where he's pinpointed at in that park that he has showed us that we went over before, he's under a bunch of like shaded trees. So he's sitting in the shade at the park. Yes, during 109, 112 degrees outside, just sitting in his car. And he's probably had it off and on with AC, I'm sure.
typically shows me in the Lexus outside of the pharmacy waiting in the car.
I saw that picture.
Correct.
Right. And what time was it again? When you got that
3:30
call?
p.m. When Sarah called me, I don't know. I was on my way back.
Yeah, they could. They could look at the phones to see if a call came in from Ontario for a taxi service or taxi ride.
I think I was maybe 20 minutes out from Fruitland, so 23 minutes estimated. So whatever. I went and picked him up, I think about 3. So somewhere between 2:30 and maybe 2:50. I don't know. I don't have an exact time frame for you.
Okay. Well, you had showed it, I believe, and you showed it on Eve's as well, and it showed pinning you at the park. And if I guess if you're not living directly
The
here,
splash pad in Fruitland at 1:30 p.m.
So 1:30 to 3.
Yeah, details in everything that he's saying and that he couldn't remember at all. This is the only time he starts giving like times of the day that he's sitting at the park and Payette and everything else, because this entire time we didn't know any times between 1:30 when he's seen on CCTV camera and 4 to 4:30 when he says he got home. Nothing in between, but he knows for a fact now that he was in Payette at 3:30. But when did he get to Payette to start sitting there? And did he, so many questions. Did he even really have a taxi ride from, Ontario to the Boise airport? Did he really see Labor Dave? Did he, I mean, it's all just what to believe, what not to believe. If he saw Labor Dave, he didn't see Labor Dave for very long. But in one of his interviews, he said he visited with him after he went to the airport, dropped his taxi service off. He visited with Labor Dave for 3 hours and went home. And then the Payette Park came out. The A&W ride in Payette came out. The picking up his prescription at the Albertsons came out. The sitting at the park came out. His time, he cannot keep track of all of his lies is what's going on here. And he tries very hard, but he's talking to the mama of Michael Vaughn and she knows things and he cannot get away with the lies.
You were doing a taxi ride?
No, yes, correct. It takes an hour to get to Boise.
Okay. Yeah.
An hour to get back, which would put me exactly around the time frame of picking up the person in Ontario, like I said. And if
he doesn't say anything about Labor Days right there at all.
You look at the time frame at the GPS location that I texted you, or texted and posted on.
So you knew all of this that happened. So what exactly happened at 6:30 then?
We were gone, like it said.
Hello, welcome in, Okie Bree. Exactly. Don't have an exact time frame, question mark. You could bet if someone's accusing me, I'd figure out every detail to prove my innocence. Exactly. You would be telling law enforcement everything you know, giving every single little bitty detail about everything you did that day, right down to a friggin' T. But then you have some people that say, like, I couldn't remember 2 weeks ago on a specific day if you'd asked me. Well, the reason why this day would be memorable to him is because it's the day that these 4 suspects abducted Michael Vaughn. This would be a day they would remember, in my opinion, but they have to deflect. They have to forget. They have to lie, or else it puts them in that place, right? It puts them there where they don't want to be, which is where Michael Vaughn was abducted. When they pull over to the side of the road on 8th in Arizona and they see a child.
Like I've told the same exact thing. We were not
When
home
are you
at
seen on
6:30, Brandi.
camera leaving the neighborhood?
You what?
When were you seen on CVT? No, Labor Dave's assault was assaulted by men that were his employees. One of them wanted their pay, and when he didn't get it that day that he wanted it, he came back with like 3 or 4 other dudes, and they, beat him up with a baseball bat. Camera leaving the neighborhood.
5:30 p.m.
Well, Sarah's mom had said that you told her you were searching for a lost child before going to CUNA.
So Miss Rubug, hello, thank you for coming in, says that there were 2 different taxi rides. He has stated before he got a call on his way back from Boise for the second one in Ontario. Yeah, that's what's confusing, because he's mixing it all together. So it's really hard to figure out like where he picked up somebody else. And in this, he just keeps saying it was a pickup in Ontario over and over and over again. But I know I have heard him talk about picking up somebody else somewhere else. So it's just really confusing because you just have him mixing all of these things together, making no sense. And someone earlier said that everything he said is like salad, mixing salad, and it's right. It's exactly what it is.
That is not true, nor is it anywhere accurate.
That's what her mother said.
Okay, well, then her mother needs to get her facts straight because that was never the case. And I remember specifically Sarah telling her mother before we left, because she communicates with her all the time, and telling her mom that we were going over to CUNA to go tow Brandi's vehicle back.
Yeah, he can't tell the same story twice. He does, in my opinion, tries confusing everybody, like Julie is saying, with his timeline on purpose, or it's because he can't remember his lies. It doesn't matter to him as long as he's deflecting. He doesn't even care when he's out there on the YouTube streets talking to all of these different creators, and all these people start pointing out all the different contradictions, all of his lies. Well, you said this the other day. You said that yesterday. You said this just a few minutes ago. He doesn't even care about it. He doesn't even care. He just wants to talk, and get the attention. That's all he wanted was attention. Word salad.
It wasn't until when we got back that night that the neighborhood was swarming with people. And we had asked what was going on. And then they had told us, and we're like, what the heck?
So you're saying she's mistaken at the time frame of when you told her that you were looking? It wasn't at, 7 p.m., 7:08 p.m.?
Say it again?
At 7:08 p.m., you didn't. Sarah had told her mom that you were searching for a lost child. I saw
No,
the photo.
that
I
never
saw the
even.
photo.
The what?
I saw the photo. Screenshot
Photo of what?
at 7:08 p.m. of
You
Sarah.
want to send me a screenshot? Because apparently I'm unaware of this. I was never searching for anybody. We were gone, and GPS data shows that we were gone. We were not even home around that time.
But you said you were putting in power steering fluid at 6:48 p.m.
No, 5:30 p.m. How else was he?
And now they're going to argue about the CCTV cameras, the time, and when he was seen, when they were seen leaving the neighborhood to go to CUNA. Give me one moment. You guys discuss and chat. I'll be right back. Thank you guys for waiting. I had to get me something to drink real quick. My voice was getting dry and I was running out of something to drink. Yeah, he is so cruel. Hi, pretty assessor. Good to see you here. Yeah, he gets really defensive with Brandi. So here, they're going to argue back and forth about CCTV cameras. And we've talked about this before, him trying to convince people that the CCTV cameras can see all the way down to 8th in Arizona. And they can't. They saw him at the splash pad, but that was further up close to where the CCTV cameras are. But they don't go very much further from there. I don't even believe they pick up like Washington Street. And he's trying to convince people because he's like, if I would have taken him, or why don't they know where Michael is? Because he would have been seen on CCTV camera down on 8th in Arizona. And Brandi tells us the exact time that they are seen leaving the neighborhood.
CCTV video footage record us at 5:30 p.m. on 8th Street, parked off to the side. Like, you guys know, like, I've already seen all of the CCTV video footage from the detectives directly.
There is no CCTV camera footage anywhere of being parked on 8th in Arizona. None. He is straight up lying to Brandi, the Michael Vaughn's mother, and she knows he's lying.
So, like, you're not gonna like trick me into knowing what I already know and what I've seen from law enforcement.
I'm not trying to trick you. I want the answers. I want my son.
I've given you the answers, and I know who you want your son. And if I could give you your son, I'd fucking do it.
I believe.
But don't try to tell me that my information is not accurate.
Watch your mouth, sir. Come on now.
Okay, well, don't try to tell me that my information. Okay, well, I'm not going to tolerate being criticized and ridiculed when I'm giving my. I'm not disrespecting her.
You did.
Okay, but I'm not going to tolerate being disrespected as well and being ridiculed and criticized when I'm telling you that I know exactly where I was at 5:30 p.m. along with Brandon and Sarah, because we were all in the truck.
He almost said Brandon and Adrian. Did you guys hear that? Wow. Now I really am going to wonder if Adrian went with them to CUNA. He said Sarah and Adrian, and then went back and said, oh, damn. Never heard this. Let me see if I rewound it. Let's see.
Along with Brandon and Sarah, because we were.
He totally fumbled. He did. He said Adrian. You did.
But I'm not going to tolerate being disrespected as well and being ridiculed.
I'm not going to tolerate being disrespected as well. The only person that was being disrespected here was Brandi and myself, but I didn't care about myself. He's such a piece of crap. I can't. He says Adrian. When they leave to go to Kuna, he says Sarah and Adrian and switches it to Brandon. Now I am seriously going to wonder whether or not now if Adrian was at the house or if Adrian went with them to Kuna. And wow, I'm kind of in shock here.
Ridiculed and criticized when I'm telling you that I know exactly where I was at 5:30 p.m.
Here it comes.
Along with Brandon and Sarah, because we were all in the truck.
And
I asked you to stay respectful. Wow, I have to write this one down. Okay, so this is at 3:41. Or shortly before that. But yeah, he does. He says Adrian.
Along with Brandon and Sarah, because we were all in the truck.
He says Brandon and Adrian, and then Brandon and Sarah. So Brandon and Adrian, Brandon and Sarah, and they all left.
And
I asked you to stay respectful, so
Adrian
just stay respectful, please.
Adrian was at the house. Right?
Obviously, Brandi caught that. I have not heard that, nor did I catch it then, or just up until now. But it looks like Brandi caught that because she was like, Adrian was at the house?
And according
at 5:30 p.m., I was shown by law enforcement when they started questioning me specific video CCTV footage. Exactly like I said. Of being outside, getting out of the truck, because Sarah was driving, I was on the passenger side, and Brandon was
Sarah was driving. Sarah was driving. They pulled off to put power steering in
the back seat. And I had Sarah pull off at 5:30 p.m. This is verbatim from CCTV video footage from the police department.
Were you at the house when Adrian came back from Applebee's?
No. Sarah had gotten back with Brandon and Sarah and Adrian had gotten back. Before I got back from the house.
And you guys leaving at 7:08 p.m.
Brandi is here saying that she saw the truck on CCTV camera leaving the neighborhood at 7:08 p.m. And this is where they start arguing about this time. Hello, Shannon.
No. GPS status shows differently. And I've already turned that in too. And law enforcement.
And he's going to sit there and argue with her like she doesn't know. When she's privileged to the information, he just can't handle it. It's not another YouTuber that doesn't have information. This is Michael Vaughn's mom. She knows. And he just can't get over it. He still wants to try to lie and manipulate.
Enforcement showed me video footage. They don't just adjust time frames at 5:30 p.m. exactly like I have said.
The timestamp was 7:08.
No, it wasn't. I've seen the timestamp.
And he wants to say that it was at 5:30 when they left the neighborhood because he doesn't want to put him in that time between 6:40 and 7:10 when law enforcement said that Michael was abducted. That was the most recent time that law enforcement said Michael was abducted between 6:40 and 7:10. And here Brandi says 7:08 p.m. they are seen on CCTV camera the red truck leaving the neighborhood. And he, oh my God, he wants to argue with her.
You telling me I'm a liar?
I'm telling you, information gets modified.
Information gets modified. So the police is going to modify information to show it to the mom. That does not make sense. It did not happen. Fruitland's not going to do that.
I'm telling you what I've.
Yeah, I modified that to the mother of a missing child. They're going to waste those resources to protect.
Okay, well then explain this, Brandi.
To me.
It's 3.5. It's 3.5 years.
They showed me too.
Okay, cool. And guess what? It's 3.5 years. They quote unquote said they have such solid concrete evidence, right? Yeah.
And then he just turns into a cocky SOB because they say they have so much evidence and yet they have not arrested me, blah, 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 blah. Because he just wants to continue manipulating. And there were people after they saw this, in this argument going back and forth with the CCTV cameras, like the people in the back said, oh my God, look, they told Stacey one thing, they told the mom another thing, and it looks like that, you know, why would they do that? Looks like there's something there to look into or something. No, it's just Stacey Wondra lying. There's nothing here to look into. Brandi saw the CCTV camera footage. It showed the truck leaving at 7:08 p.m. That's it. That's all. Stacey Wondra wants to spin a different narrative because he has to. Because he has to deflect from the fact that he abducted this child. In my opinion. Allegedly abducted, right? Give me a break.
Yeah.
Solid concrete evidence that it's 3.5 years later and there's still no charges. You wonder why? Because they don't got anything, Brandi. Figure it out. Do them. No, they don't. Really?
Out, and I know you're lying, Stacey. And
really?
You know what? I would forgive you if you would tell me the truth about.
She would forgive him. She would forgive him if he would just tell her where Michael is. God bless her heart.
Sarah,
I don't have anything to fucking give you. I don't have anything to give you. And if I had something to give you, I would.
They showed me too. I seen the photos. I saw your confession, Stacey. I seen everything. And you know what? And I've seen it.
And there she goes telling everybody, like, I seen your confession. Do you see the look on his face?
You did all over the internet? I have seen it. And you continue to lie. You know, there was one time that I said I could forgive someone as long as Michael came home to me safely.
And if I had something to give you, Brandi, I would.
I'm not going to.
Go ahead. Okay, and don't give up. I don't want you to give up. As a mother, you shouldn't give up. And if I had something else to give you, I would.
I believe you do.
Okay, and I believe I know I don't. So there's two different sides there. I'm sorry that you still obviously think that I'm a liar and this fucking horrible person.
I've caught you.
Her prerogative. It's your prerogative. Guess what? It's your prerogative. And you're entitled to feel any way you want. But don't think for once. You're right, you are. But if I had something else to give you, I would. I don't just somehow pass a lie detector test or a polygraph test specifically relating.
Because you're lying about your polygraph test.
Oh, am I?
Yes.
Because that's why the person, Matt, that did the specific polygraph told me specifically that I told the truth. So you want to prove to me where I lied on the polygraph? Do you want to show me a screenshot? Because I guarantee you can't prove that either. You're going off of speculation. There's a reason they stopped.
I'm going off your lawyer. Your lawyer.
My lawyer? Oh, do you think that's a lie? Because that's not.
No, I know it's not a lie.
No, it's not a lie. Guess because it's not, and it's not fake,
I didn't say it was a lie.
and it's not fake. I never said I was going after the law
I
enforcement.
even
Brandi.
invited you and Brandon and both of you and your lawyers, and you can come speak with me. We can be there. You can bring, whoever you'd like. I don't have a lawyer, so but we can gladly bring any of these lawyers in, and we can all sit down and have a conversation. Because I'd like to know why Brandon says you're lying and you say Brandon's lying.
Really? Because Brandon didn't say that I'm lying, and actually, I listened to his statement that Brandon from his lawyer specifically that Brandon's lawyer was retained to represent Brandon should he ever get charged. I heard exactly the whole statement from his lawyer and what Brandon told, and Brandon's statement confirms everything that Sarah and I told. So
Ted
show
Bundy
me
his polygraph test, right?
Hmm?
Ted Bundy passed his polygraph test, right?
Yep.
Just saying.
Did you
So why
see
were you at
JLR's
the church?
interview?
What was the plan? What was the plan, Stacey? Why
For
were you
what?
for the abduction of Michael?
I wasn't involved in it, Brandi. And there's nothing you're gonna do that's gonna convince me otherwise.
Why did you tell law enforcement?
And there's nothing you're going to do to convince me otherwise. Very strange language right there. Why would you even say that? To convince me otherwise? We just want you to slip up, Stacey, or just, tell the truth for once.
That you knew.
I didn't say that I knew. I wanted to get them off my back. And maybe if you did a little studying and research on what
He's just disgusting here.
fetal alcohol syndrome is.
Oh, here we go with the excuses. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Sorry for anybody that actually has it, but he knows right from wrong, right? So he just wants to throw out excuses here once again.
And maybe if you had it and you got put in a pressure point situation, you'd do the same fucking thing.
I do have a slight medical background, and I'm quite aware
Okay.
of fetal.
Then you'll understand that being put in a very
understanding.
pressure pointed situation,
Yes,
in a
that's why
very
I'm trying to
pressure
talk-
situation, you would do everything you can
so I
to fight or
get
fight.
the truth from you with
Yeah, definitely playing victim here. It's disgusting.
being an explosive asshole.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know she calls him an asshole. An explosive asshole.
Okay.
Past history. Past history.
Past history.
Yeah, years ago, Brandi, that I've done 13 years in freaking group homes to overcome that.
You
to
care
explain
about getting
that,
away
but I'm
with
such a
this.
horrible
That's all you
person.
care about.
Brandi.
You care about
I'm
getting
sorry.
away.
I'm sorry. This is.
He can't. He's just done. He cannot. Yeah, I wasn't involved in it. Exactly. He cannot. He is done. He cannot let Brandi win anymore because he knows.
Over?
Because you can't.
Now I'm hitting the mute button over and over and over again just to shut him up so that Brandi can say what she wants to say, because I already knew he was going to say, like, I'm leaving.
Tell me the truth. You can't.
I don't have truth to tell you.
You do.
I don't.
You know where Michael is.
No,
well,
I don't.
You did
No,
know.
I don't.
Brandi.
Brandi.
Yes, you did.
No, I don't.
You
No, I
told law
don't.
enforcement.
No.
Let's let Brandi talk, please.
So
Go ahead, Brandi.
Go ahead, Brandi. Guess what? They can bring charges because guess what? And they can hold me at a fucking. Go ahead. Bring charges, and it's going to get fought in court because they don't have shit.
Knowledge.
No, I don't. And consider this your guys' warning. Continue slander. Nope.
I'm not slandering you.
Continue slander.
You said you would answer anything, Stacey. You said you're
correct,
and you're not being an open book to me. You're getting angry with me, and you're not answering questions.
No, I've answered everything that you need, Brandi. I've answered everything. You still want to accuse me. You still want to do this and do that. Guess what?
I want to know why you're lying.
I'm not lying.
You have
I want to know why
issues.
you think.
You have control issues.
No, I
And
don't
you
have control
imposter.
issues.
Yeah.
I have issues with people slandering me and defaming me and
It's like
thinking
you have
that
a
they have no and think
He's gonna go on about the lawsuit because he's gonna sue all of us YouTubers and YouTube.
thinking that they're
Something
hot
bothers
shit
you
and
a little
thinking
bit,
that they know it all.
explode in
This
something.
conversation is done. You all have a good night.
Obviously, he's still gonna listen.
He is still gonna listen. I am so sorry. I
Okay,
didn't
guys.
want. Yeah, so that's the end of that. Thank gosh. Well, a couple of slips here. One at 3:32 and one at 3:41. Because Brandi gets them all messed up, doesn't she? Knowing the privileged information that she has that she can use to catch him up, you know, and slip him up and the things that she says. He's just so god awful to her. It's just crazy to go back and listen to that all over again. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys all so much. Thanks, Avi, for, you know, you found a little spot tonight. I appreciate that. Everybody's just ears open. We're all catching stuff. And then we hear him actually say Brandon and Adrian, and then switches it to Brandon and Sarah in the truck on the way to Cuna. Was it just a slip up? It could have been. But now I'm going to sit and wonder if Adrian was actually in the truck on the way to Cuna, because so many people have wondered if they all four went to Cuna. And for some whatever reason, they've always just said it was Stacey, Brandon, and Sarah. A lot of people are wondering if that's because everybody is afraid of Adrian, which they very well could be. I mean, he knows some very, very, very nasty people. Very nasty people. Yeah, Stacey Wondra has recently started trying to call Hot Mess. And, you know, all he wanted to do was to tell her to knock off what it is that she's doing, yell and scream at her and tell her to F off. But, you know, he just needs to call whoever will pick up the phone, because he can't stand being alone in jail and not having very many friends to talk to. Did you email me that phone call, or was that in a text message, Hot Mess? Let me see. I can't remember where you... Oh, wait. Did you send it in Messenger, maybe? Let me look. Let me see. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to mute my mic so I can figure this out. Hold on. Actually found it. Yeah, it's in Messenger. So here we go. I'll go ahead and play it. This is Hot Mess. It's a recording. Stacey calls her paying for it, I believe, because I know she's not going to pay for any phone call. He must have had money on his thing or something. But yeah, he's pretty pissed off. So I don't know if you guys can hear this good. Let me know if you can hear it well. Or I know that it's like kind of, what do I want to say? Pitchy, like high pitched. So here we go.
I just want to give you a heads up. I would suggest stop what you're doing on YouTube. You're getting sued very deeply. I've already got my lawsuit started. I would stop. You need to be served. I know. No, Justin, you're getting served. It's coming very, very shortly. I've got all the important motion, and I would really stop. No, you're in Arizona. That's funny. With my family. So, congratulations and glad you are. I will stop.
Where's Michael? Mother effer. Yeah, she. I died laughing. Good for you, Kelly. So yeah, that's a recording. I hope you guys could hear that. I had to turn it down just a little bit because it, like I said, it was really super like high pitched. But yeah, he's just lonely in there. He ain't got nobody to talk to. Nobody wants to put money on his books or nothing. So he just wants to talk about this lawsuit. It's just ridiculous. No, none of us have gotten served any paperwork. Well, yeah, at the very beginning of it, you couldn't really hear because it's so high pitched coming in. Michael Monkey Vaughn, abducted July 27th of 2021 in Fruitland, Idaho, from his neighborhood when he wandered out of the house to play with friends. Like I said earlier, you know, Tyler was just being a dad, taking care of Buggy, changing a diaper, ordering pizza. Brandi was at work. You know, he's just doing the dad thing. And in a split moment, Michael made the decision to walk out into the backyard and through the garage to go find friends to play with. And there just happened to have been monsters in the neighborhood. Monsters in the neighborhood that abducted Michael. And there are 4 named suspects in Michael's abduction: Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrian Lucian, and Brandon Shirtliff. And these 4 suspects are named suspects as of January 10th, 2025. They are still suspects. Brandi and Tyler Vaughn have seen written up by the district attorney's office the charges that will be coming for these 4 suspects. They lived not a 4-minute walk away from where Michael was abducted. Somebody out there knows something. And we're just asking you to please come forward with any information that you have about Michael's abduction or any information about these 4 suspects. Maybe you heard something straight from the horse's mouth. Maybe you heard something through the grapevine. Let law enforcement decide whether or not your tip is credible. Call the tip line at Fruitland Police 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. No tip is too big or too small. You can receive $52,000 if it's information leading to Michael Vaughn's whereabouts. You can even remain anonymous. But please come forward, because Michael was only 5 years old when he was abducted. 5. And he deserves justice. One of these suspects abducted Michael One of these suspects murdered Michael. One of these suspects buried Michael in the backyard at the Wondras house. And one of these suspects moved Michael to an unknown location. It's very disheartening to know exactly how this has gone. But J.D. Huff does say that there is evidence to prove that Michael was in the Wondras' backyard. Cadaver dogs, more than one cadaver dog, picked up on the death scent at the Wondras' house. And according to Carson Starkey, scent dogs hit on the outside of the Wondras' house. Cadaver dogs also hit at Tina Mariel's, which is Brandon Shirtliff's mom's house, where they went on July 27th after Michael was abducted to tow Brandon Shirtliff's car back to Fruitland. Why would cadaver dogs hit at Tina Mariel's? Tina tries to tell everybody, oh, it was because of my leaky toilet. Mountain Search and Rescue Unit came out and talked about that and said, no, cadaver dogs are not trained to hit on poop. They're not leaky toilets. Cadaver dogs are trained to hit on human remains and the smell of human remains. There's a reason why cadaver dogs hit at the Wondras and at Tina Mariel's house, Brandon Shirtliff's mom's house, and the front of the house, according to Carson Starkey at the Wondras. Multiple cadaver dogs, not one, not two, several, 3. One dog, yeah, maybe. Maybe there could be a mistake, right? But 2 or 3 dogs all, I don't think that's possible. I don't believe that there have been mistakes by Fruitland Police Department. I believe that they have worked hard for the Vaughn family and have worked hard to find Michael. And they are still looking for Michael. They have not stopped. This is still a very ongoing, active case. And somebody knows something. And what they know could help the family and law enforcement find Michael. Whether one of these suspects finds it in their heart to come forward and say something, or whether someone comes forward with a tip. And even though we talk about the DA already writing up charges, doesn't mean that they don't need any more tips coming in. They need as many tips as they possibly can, because they're only going to get one chance, one time, to prosecute these 4 suspects. So any and all tips that come in now can still be investigated, still be looked at, and maybe, just maybe, the right tip will come in, and that tip could help find Michael Vaughn. And with Michael's body, they would be able to prosecute, and they would really even have more evidence to put these 4 suspects away for life, if not the death penalty. Because it's going to be hard to try a no-body case, but they still have enough evidence to do that. And we know this because they've already written up charges, and they're not going to write up charges and put out indictments on these 4 suspects unless they have enough, because they know they only have one chance. So if you know anything at all, you need to come forward. You need to give that tip. The tip line phone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. Let law enforcement decide if your tip is credible or not. You could help find this little boy. You could help bring him home to his parents, his family, his siblings. Buggy misses her little brother so much, or big brother to her, so much. So much. Well, they all do. But we've heard Buggy talk and talk and talk. She talks to him. She wants her brother home. She doesn't understand everything that's going on. And she doesn't realize what coming home means at this time. But let this family mourn. Let this family move forward as much as they can, knowing that he's home with them. We already know what the monsters have done. Now it's just time to prove it 100% without reasonable doubt, period. Bring in that tip. Get it off your chest. The telephone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. Be Monkey's hero. Be the family's hero. Thank you guys all so much for coming in, for being here for Monkey, for being here for the Vaughn family. The day will come and these indictments will be out there, and we will hear that the handcuffs got put on Adrian and Brandon, and that they were brought in, and that they went in and talked to Sarah and talked to Stacey in prison, and they find out that they're going to be sitting there for the rest of their lives. The day will come. We're never going to stop looking for Michael. We're never going to stop talking about Michael. We're Monkey's Army. We're going to continue supporting the Vaughn family. $52,000 is a lot of money. If you know something, you could collect $52,000 for calling the tip line at 208-642-6006. Brandi is still sick. She's just got to make it a little while longer. She'll be going to Idaho or going to Utah soon. Everybody keep sending prayers for her. Justice is coming. Halo says, we love you, Vaughn family. Justice is coming. And we're never going to stop. Thank you so much for being here, mods. I appreciate you all so much. Justice for Michael. Yeah, if you knew anything, you give the money to Brandi, right? The time will come. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. And then there'll be more to talk about. There'll be more new information. Indictments will come. There'll be court hearing proceedings. Maybe they'll be recorded. Maybe they won't. If they are, you can guarantee them we'll be sitting right here watching it. I know I will be. I'll stream it every day, all day, till it's over. On all 4 suspects if they're tried separately. Hopefully it will be recorded. Spirit Seeker Squad, good to see you, hon. Thank you for coming in. If you guys haven't been over to Spirit Seeker Squad, she has a playlist of Michael Vaughn. She's done a lot of shorts also, catching Stacey Wondra and the suspects in their lies and contradictions as well. Thank you for coming in. Hot Mess, we always appreciate seeing you. I am glad to have you. I know I just sat and watched one of the lives that you were on with Voices Behind the Wall the other night. I try to catch other people's lives as much as possible. So I'm going to put up a video for Michael. Please keep praying. Pray for justice. Pray for Brandi. Like I said, you know, she said she had to make it through a couple of weeks so she could make it to Utah and get that liver. And we're just hoping and praying that everything's going to work out for her. She gets that new liver. Everything's going to be good. We're praying for one of these suspects to come forward and say something about where Monkey is. And, you know, always praying for Monkey and for justice. I know the Vaughn family would be extremely, extremely thankful and grateful to know that these indictments were put out and that they could just stop worrying about these monsters living out on the streets, because it's time. It is time. It's beyond time. Thank you guys all for coming in. Have a good night.